Warning, this video will contain opinions. Viewer discretion is advised if these opinions will trigger you, leading you to attack me and send death threats. I talk about the good and the bad of Invincible, but I'll be expressing the changes I would make in ways that the album and the era could be fixed.
So even if she's asking you to stay, you better know where you stand. Baby, love but you never show she can. No, you won't see her kissing her. Baby, love though she acts like I'm not there. That doesn't mean she doesn't love me. But if they ask, tell them that we're just good friends.
Hello everyone, it is Moonwalking Kingdom back again with another Michael Jackson video, and it's been quite a bit. I'm gonna admit I have not done a video like this in a pretty long time. So I'm looking forward to talking about this with you guys in the best way that I possibly can. So let's get started, but before we do, I have a couple of announcements. I'm starting a brand new YouTube channel in 2024 called Nostalgia.net. This is basically going to be talking about anything revolving my childhood and the things that you guys grew up with when you were kids. So that's going to be a very, very, very great channel. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, let's get to the topic. So Invincible. Invincible is an album that gets a lot of mixed reception from both fans and the public. There is a YouTuber that was going to make a video about this, and he goes by History in the Mix. So some people may know him as, JD or Jace Bane, and he was going to make a video about Invincible. Take a look at this.
I feel like fans think it's cool and edgy to like Invincible because Michael promoted it and all that stuff with Sony, that people fail to review it truthfully. Invincible's not a good album.
Oh my God, enough with the Invincible. This is so annoying. You're a fake Michael Jackson fan. How could you not like Invincible? You should go die. All of you for not liking Invincible.
And somebody said later on, Isaiah.jo5 said Invincible is a perfect album. I strongly disagree. Invincible has dated the worst out of any Michael Jackson album. That's because songs like Heartbreaker immediately sound like 2001 pop. Everything from Invincible is a product of its time, and I don't like it. Literally the only one that I listened to, the only track off of Invincible that I listen to regularly is Threatened. And when you think about all the stuff that he had in his back catalog during this time, We've Had Enough, I even like Shout, and stuff like that. And instead of putting that on the album, he put stuff like Cry and Heartbreaker and all that stuff that I just can't listen to. That's something I can't stand. I would love to do a long thought-out video about why I don't like Invincible, but I feel like I'd get canceled once again for that.
Well, JD, I got you covered. So, I will be talking about Invincible and how I think it should be fixed, and that there's too many issues with Invincible.
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck, in my opinion.
I'll also be highlighting on why fans like it, and how certain people have ruined it. But we will talk more about that, so please don't assume right away, because I'll be going in full detail. These are just my opinions, so please do not take these personally. This is just my opinion. Fake fan cards are strictly prohibited here. We're here to talk about Michael in our perspective. So let's just be nice, respectful, and to the point. Let's go, guys. So Invincible is the final Michael Jackson album to be released during his lifetime that involved entirely on new stuff. Now, the stuff that came after had, they were compilations. That also had new material, but this is the final one that he did, just all new stuff. So Prince Jackson recently was in the Blue Sapphire Diamond celebration, and he was asking people, what is Michael's most underrated album? Take a look at this.
What would you say is the most underrated Michael Jackson album?
Invincible.
It's gonna be Off the Wall.
Yes, Invincible. I agree. Invincible. Invincible, of course.
Definitely agreed.
Invincible, and to be specific,
the song Break It Down.
So as you can see, the majority of people have said Invincible. Now, let's talk about why people say it's his most underrated. Now, we take it back to the Sony controversy and Michael just simply not being happy with the way Sony promoted Invincible.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
So because of that, that's why a lot of people say that Invincible is underrated. I only think it's underrated in the public, but I feel that the album has gotten way more love now than ever before. And we look at things like TikTok that have used songs like You Rock My World with a Cardi B remix.
Big bags, listen up, the Billy band, take a minute, working back, party back, you know you ready. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. Up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. It's up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up.
So, you know, the songs have been getting way more coverage nowadays. So I think what I can say is that it's definitely not underrated. It's not underrated in the fan community. If anything, the fans actually make the album way more popular than it ever is. Some people even saying it's better than Thriller. Yes, I have seen people say that Invincible is better than Thriller. Their opinions, and opinions are welcome. But me personally, I don't agree that Invincible is better than Thriller. I think Thriller is the most perfect Michael Jackson album, and that's just how I see it. There's no skip on Thriller. The only thing that I can say would be a skip is The Girl Is Mine, but other than that, every song is amazing. We're going to just look at every single track from Invincible, and I'll tell you what songs I would replace them with, or what can we keep.
We cannot talk about this era without bringing up Space Channel 5, which is a rhythm-based video game in which Michael Jackson made a cameo in. This was released for the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2, and this does not really get talked about enough. He also made a cameo in Men in Black 2. This gets very much attention. And then he also starred in this.
So I have to refilm this portion because the file got lost. Anyway, let's go through all the songs of Invincible, and I'm going to tell you what would I put in and what would I keep. And then I'm going to be reading a couple of reasons as to why Invincible is just, you know, all over the place. I found a Reddit by Let's Talk Music. There's a lot of really great reasons on here that I'm actually going to be paraphrasing for you all. So let's just go through the first portion here. So Unbreakable. I'll keep it. I do think the album should have been called Unbreakable. That's something that a lot of people can probably agree with or disagree with. Some people will probably say that the Biggie Smalls verse is super out of place. Let me know what you all think about that. But the song's fine. Heartbreaker, this song grew on me, so I'll keep it in there. Invincible. It's catchy. I'll give it that. I'll give it that. Break of Dawn I could keep. Heaven Can Wait is easily the second best song on the album next to Threatened. So that's an automatic keep. You Rock My World is also a keep. Some people can also say, and even I can say in certain moments, the short film is kind of cringe. I'm not gonna lie, and it's not really Michael. It's really, so some people can say the Chris Tucker portions and the Marlon Brando portions.
I know who you are.
Bing bang.
Let me know what you guys think about that. As well as the You Rock My World intro. I don't like it whatsoever. Should have been cut. I'm sorry. That Reddit says the exact same thing, that the You Rock My World intro is terrible. That's my opinion. Butterflies. Great song. I'll keep it in there. Speechless. I love the story behind how it was written, so I'll keep it. And the song's really good.
My favorite thing is to climb trees.
Mm-hmm.
Go all the way up to the top of a tree and I look down on the branches. Whenever I do that, it inspires me for music. And there are these two sweet little kids, a girl and a boy. And they're so innocent. They're the quintessential form of innocence. And just being in their presence, I felt complete completely speechless because I felt I was looking in the face of God whenever I saw them.
Now here's where it lacks. The first half of the album is great, but the second half is where it lacks for me. 2,000 watts. Most people can say that this is the worst song Michael has ever made. Automatic removal. I'm sorry. You Are My Life. Get rid of it. Privacy. Get rid of it. Don't Walk Away. Get rid of it. Every single song removed except for Threatened on the second half of the album. And I'll tell you what we can replace for those 7 tracks. Now for The Lost Children. It's not necessarily a bad track. I just think it's boring. You can replace it with a song that actually, for me, it has potential. But Michael gave it to another group. I think it was called People of the World. I think this would have been better if it was like a charity single, yeah, like that and Lost Children. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about that one. Because if the Lost Children can remain on this album, then it's really only for the message. And then You Are My Life, beautiful lyrics, is just another really boring track. I'll probably replace this with like Seeing Voices or something. Seeing Voices is a beautiful song. I really wish that was a release because it's just too beautiful. Okay, so this is after filming. I re-listened to You Are My Life and The Lost Children, and I have a couple things to say after I re-listened. So when I said You Are My Life should be removed from Invincible, basically I was referring to the fact that I just feel like it's a song that he would have done once. Like, performing it once. Like, for example, when Michael did You Were There and songs like Elizabeth, I Love You, and I even think Gone Too Soon could have been a song that he only did once. And, you know, I just think it would have suited better because the song is dedicated to his kids, while You Were There was dedicated to Sammy Davis Jr., Elizabeth Taylor for, you know, Elizabeth Love You, and then Ryan White for Gone Too Soon. I just think that would have been a beautiful pattern. The only reason I would take it out is to replace it with something like Singing Voices, which is, in my opinion, a superior track. Lost Children, like I said, can remain. I don't necessarily hate the song. Message is amazing. I just think it's the matter of it being, oh, am I in the mood to listen to it? So I think that's why I described it as boring. I could easily get targeted by MJ fans for that comment. Another thing that I want to ask is, do you feel that Michael should have kept Rodney Jerkins and kept working with Rodney Jerkins moving forward? Or do you think Michael should have used another producer? Now, some people can argue that Michael should have never worked with Rodney Jerkins and used Timbaland instead. Timbaland was also heavily involved with music for Aaliyah for songs like Are You That Somebody and Try Again, and I just love the way those songs sound. I have a very good friend of mine that loves Aaliyah, and he was telling me, man, I wish the songs sounded like that instead. What do you guys think about that? Do you think Timbaland would have done better, as some people can say? And I even said at one point that Escape is better than Invincible. Tell me if you agree with that or not. That's a very interesting take. But at the same time, Rodney Jerkins also produced songs for Brandy, Toni Braxton, and Destiny's Child, and they got bangers as well. Okay, back to the actual video. 2,000 Watts, like I mentioned, is regarded as Michael's worst song, according to many people. I think the song that would have fit best for this is, and I think a song that really should have been on Invincible is Blue Gangsta. Like, come on. And then for Privacy, I have 3 options. I have Escape, Hollywood Tonight, and Can't Get Your Weight Off of Me. If I would pick personally, I think Escape is the best option. Escape just fits Invincible completely. If Michael had more songs like Heaven Can Wait on Invincible, then man, come on. Like that is just such a missed opportunity. Heaven Can Wait is like, that song, that defines like kind of that R&B sound that I really think he should have utilized more. because I love that song. Break of Dawn as well. The first half of Invincible is fine. It's the second half that is very messy. But then we get to Cry. Now, people say, Cry, it was written by you-know-who. It also contains an ad-lib that I actually made a video about. It's called The Funniest Michael Jackson Ad-lib. Check it out. It's something else. I think I would have replaced it with We've Had Enough. I think it's a superior song, and I just think it's amazing because it's We've Had Enough. Whatever happens, I don't hate it. I like it. I don't know what I would replace it with. So I think for that, I could say I could keep it in. And then same thing for Don't Walk Away. Don't Walk Away is passable. I don't know if it was recorded. I believe it was recorded around this time, but I believe it got reworked later. And that's a song called Beautiful Girl. Beautiful Girl. It's an underrated song, and it doesn't get as much love. I know it's a demo and all, but man, oh man, the song, if it had a rework, complete vocals, production-wise, man, oh man, it would have been something else. And then we have Threatened, which can stay. And I think Threatened would be amazing if it was the first song rather than the last. I just think it being the last song is just kind of odd. It definitely sounds more like an opener. I also think Threatened should have had a video. If anything, Threatened and Unbreakable. Now, Unbreakable was going to have a video, and from what I've heard, it was going to be something like Michael was a robot, and the pieces would be broken and coming out. Something like that. I want whoever knows about that more to talk about that in the comments. Tell me what that video is going to be like, because man, that sounds very futuristic type. That's kind of what he was going for, which I respect, and I love that he was going this direction. I just think the song options could have been better. Apparently, from what I've heard, You Are My Life was a last-minute choice on this album, and instead, it was going to be Shout. Now, regarding Shout, production-wise, it is horrendous. You can barely understand what he's saying. Another thing that most people don't know, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, I actually love that this is the case. I think he samples a Guy song in that, and then lyrically, the chorus is a nod to the Isley Brothers' Shout. The main gripe I have with Shout is the production. But lyrically, they're probably his best lyrics he's ever written. I found this Reddit, like I mentioned. We're going to go through all of them. So they're saying for Invincible, too many producers on it. This leads to a lack of cohesion in the sound. It felt like just a collection of random tracks strung together. The first half is too dance, electric, upbeat. I think the first half being dance heavy is fine, but the second half is too ballad. Yes, this is kind of the main criticism I've been hearing. But it could also be like, okay, the first half is dance heavy, but then we kind of want to slow it down. He does this quite a bit, like how in Thriller, it's very dance heavy, but then it goes right into a slow song. So I feel like Thriller, as I mentioned before, Thriller is a perfect album. It is one of Michael's only perfect albums, if we were to, look at it track-wise. Even Off the Wall has some issues. It's sort of like Off the Wall, where the first side is very dance-heavy, yet the second side is very ballad-heavy. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it just depends on the ballads. I think Off the Wall had better ballads than Invincible, because on Off the Wall, you had songs like It's the Falling in Love, which is amazing, and then you have I Can't Help It, which is easily one of his best ballads he's ever done, next to Childhood and Smile, which is a great cover. And then a couple others. There's a list of ballads. And then Someone in the Dark. What am I saying? There's Someone in the Dark. Now that's the best ballad he's ever done. But then we go into the second reason. He's saying nothing really ties the album together. Now, they also mentioned that he was highly medicated at the time, and he sounds disengaged. I hear from people saying, because he was on painkillers and he had a lot of issues during this time, vocally he was lacking. Now, personally, I get into auto-tune later in this video about, like the whole debate about Michael using auto-tune being a good thing and being a bad thing, or Michael didn't use auto-tune at all. I talk about that later, but regarding his health, do I think his vocals were lacking? I don't think so. There were moments in the album where he was killing it. But then there were moments where you're like, okay, is that really Michael? Like 2,000 watts? Invincible does not have a theme. So the reason why the album is called Invincible is because it's kind of proving like, okay, nobody could touch me. I'm invincible. Invincible doesn't really have a theme. It doesn't. It's kind of like a bunch of songs kind of mixing, almost feeling like a compilation album. Thriller kind of had that too. I mean, Thriller, it being like a bunch of songs thrown together, but at least you can interpret Thriller. I mean, there are many interpretations of Thriller. For Bad has better songs than Invincible, but Bad can easily be, now a lot of people can say that Bad is the most dated album that he's ever done. It sounds the most dated compared to Thriller, considering the fact that you have so many like 80s synthesizers. Bad is not, it's not a bad album. Also, track listing, it needs work. But they're saying here, many of the tracks themselves sound radically different. For example, right next to each other, the way the vocals are mixed, progressed. I bet money that Teddy Riley did some weird digital processing to MJ's voice, like Heaven Can Wait, 2,000 watts, whatever happens. I already talked about You Rock My World. MJ had limited involvement with actual songwriting. Okay, now, from what I'm looking at, Michael was not responsible for a lot of the writing. He wrote only 2 songs solely, and those 2 were The Lost Children and Speechless. The others were either co-writes or writer's demos. Well, writer's demos were later given to Mike. So, like, for example, they're saying Whatever Happens was a writer's demo. And it was presented to MJ's team. And it's exactly the same song as the one in the album. And then Butterflies, I knew about, because that's Flowetry's cover. And then they're actually saying about Heaven Can Wait, which was also a writer's demo that was given. And there's videos of these. I think if you click on the videos, I'll put them in the link if it's something in the description. Michael really cut back on vocal trademarks. From what I can remember, the only time you hear Michael do a he or a woohoo was in Invincible, the song. I think when he's going into the falsetto, but you hear him do a he in that track. I don't recall any other moments where he does I think in privacy he does a woohoo, but it's not in the normal range that you would hear him. Which for some can be like, okay, this is different. He's singing in his deeper register, which a lot of people in the MJ community who love Invincible can praise. Because he's kind of discovering his voice. He's doing many different things with his voice compared to the, what he was doing before with the higher register. Most people can say that Michael was purposely speaking in a higher voice so he could hit higher notes. So it's good that this album can prove that, okay, he also had a deeper voice. Now we go, the album's too long. It is very long. It's 16 tracks. If I would say anything, Michael had a shorter album span. I mean, Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad only had like 9-10 tracks. Dangerous had like 14. Which that's still pretty long, but at least the songs were better. I like the first half of the album when it came to the way the track list was. I have to look at that again. If I'm making the track listing a big deal, then I'm sorry. Like it's not a huge deal. In certain moments for me, it matters because when you hear an album, it's all about mood. It's all about the experience. Like, for example, if I'm hearing Dangerous and I hear Heal the World in the middle of the album and then Black or White's like I just don't feel that it makes sense. I don't know. Okay, it's kind of like you're throwing in a compilation. I feel like with albums, it has to tell a story. Like how in History, you have Scream being the first song, which is, aggressive and like he gets mad. And then at the end, you have Smile, which is kind of like, okay, I went through all this, so I want to be happy. I still got to be happy despite the pain that I went through. But I feel like even for Dangerous, you can still interpret things. even if the tracks don't make any sense when it comes to sequencing. Let me get back to this. So the album is too long, less than that, feels abrupt. You can easily trim 5 to 10 minutes just by reducing the amount of top-looped electronic beats. Cutting the You Rock My World skit, and removing some of the sound effects that begin in a lot of songs. The sound effects in the beginning of the songs don't bother me, though. Tracks could have been sequenced better, yes. Essentially, the problem with Invincible is too long, inconsistent, and haphazard seeming sequencing. And a lot of the best songs in the sessions were not used. That was also the point I was making. Blue Gangsta, Escape, Place No Name, all that. That's how I would configure Invincible. There was an interview with Michael in 2001, and he was asked about Invincible comparing to Thriller, and he's saying that Invincible may be better than Thriller because it has more to offer. You can pause to read it here. I understand from like an artist perspective as to why he would say that. But I feel Thriller had a lot to offer too. Thriller had a lot to offer, even if for it to be 9 tracks. You had a song for everything. There was, love songs. Some of the best love songs he's ever done. Like Lady in My Life is the best love song Michael's ever done. And then you got rock, like one of his only rock songs being Beat It. And then he had Dirty Diana and Give In To Me later on. That's an interesting, that's a very interesting find. I want to thank my friend Justin for sending that out. Let's kind of go back to my thoughts here. So another thing I noticed about Invincible, there's literally, and I'm not kidding, there is a Invincible fandom. Like there's a section in the MJ community where it's Invincible stands. Yes, there's Invincible stands. Kind of like you have your off the wall, Thriller, Bad, your stands. But the thing about these stands is that these people are very overprotective with the album. I've seen people literally throw cancel on people that don't like Invincible. I'm pretty sure there are people that are like this. There are people that love this album, and I will respect their viewpoints. But one thing I don't understand is the people that will go after somebody for not liking the album. Like, you get people saying, well, you have no taste if you don't like Invincible. Now, most of the time, these people are joking, and if it's a joke, it's fine. But if they're being serious about that, then come on. It's their preference of music. If they don't like Invincible, that doesn't mean they don't like Michael Jackson. If you don't like Invincible, then you're not a fake fan, as what some of these people call these people fake fans, or they just have a very different taste of music. I've heard people say Michael lost his magic during Invincible, and people have heard this album and said, man, this is not a Michael album. This is an album that could be made by any 2000s artist that was during that time period. This album was ahead of its time. And many people praise it for that. I love that he used the sounds that he did in this album, but the song selections based on the sessions were not what, say that this album came out when I was, I would have preferred songs like I mentioned, We've Had Enough, Blue Gangsta, Beautiful Girl. Some people may even say In the Back. Stuff like that. I just think the album just would have been so much better. But meanwhile, we get You Are My Life, or, Cry, which it's okay. But again, but definitely don't be that person that says, oh, you're supposed to be a moonwalker who likes everything. And if you don't like everything, including Invincible, then you're a fake Michael Jackson fan.
You fucking losers!
I don't like that. Another thing is that I mentioned that they say it's his most underrated, yet the Motown albums are more underrated than Invincible. I've said it before, and I'm not going to say it again after this. That's just my opinion. Also, me making this video does not mean I hate Invincible. There's a lot of highlights on Invincible. I do think there are periods on this album where I could say, okay, he's really, really good vocally. Some people can say that he actually lost his vocal ability here, and many of the songs were auto-tuned. Now, I want to talk about this because I've, seen, people say, Michael never used auto-tune. Now, Michael never used auto-tune at the times when auto-tune never existed, right? But if he used auto-tune, then you could hear it in songs like Invincible during the part where he goes, the part when he's in full falsetto mode and he's doing a hee-hee. Privacy has auto-tune apparently, 2,000 watts. Apparently his voice was like, obviously he was singing in a lower register. If you can debunk me on this, please do, because I'm pretty uneducated about the whole auto-tune aspect when it comes to Michael. But if he did indeed use auto-tune, it shouldn't mean anything like, Michael Jackson was a human being. He wasn't a god. And if he actually used auto-tune, then that shouldn't be a fucking problem. Everybody was experimenting auto-tune around the time it came out, and people still use it now. If Michael Jackson used auto-tune, then so fucking what? That's just me. I'm sorry. If you don't agree with me, then that's totally fine. But Michael Jackson using auto-tune shouldn't affect your views on Michael Jackson. But it's something that at the time, again, if he used auto-tune, then that's something that we would never ever expect from Michael. And for that, people could say, well, his vocal abilities toned down. He was using auto-tune. But in reality, he probably was just using them to experiment because it was new at the time. But he still had amazing vocal moments during Invincible. And also, he should have kept the curl during 30th anniversary. I don't know why that was changed. What? Okay. Yeah. So, the era also was going to have short films, and Unbreakable was going to have a short film. Obviously, the Sony thing led to these not happening, but that's another reason for me to not like it. Also, You Rock My World and Butterflies were the only two singles on the album. Meanwhile, I think Unbreakable should have been a single. Threatened should have easily been a single. Threatened should have been a video, okay? Threatened, if there was a Threatened video, my goodness, that'd be amazing. And also, No World Tour. Now, this obviously has to do with, apparently it was 9/11 and then the Sony stuff. But there were many reasons for a world tour not to happen. Meanwhile, we have United We Stand, which we don't even have enough footage for Michael's performances, obviously. And then we have Apollo, Alive the Apollo, which we don't have a lot of footage for either. And then we have American Bandstand, which we have the Dangerous performance. So we don't really have enough footage for performances either, besides 30th anniversary. So, yeah, So, but that's just my opinion. I'm sorry if I went blast. If you like the album, if you like the era, that's totally fine. Totally fine. But if you're going to disrespect me for my viewpoints, then not going to have it. But anyway, y'all, that was my video on Invincible. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next video. Keep tuning in. You just said the Milwaukee Kingdom, but you come back in the next one. See you later. See you real soon. That was a long outro because I'm not thinking. But yeah, see you real soon. Bye-bye.
Fuck all of you motherfuckers. I know exactly what the fuck has happened. I'm here now. This fucking shit is coming out. Fuck all of you.
Baby love me, though she never, so she cares. You will see her kiss and hug me. My baby love me, though she act like I'm not there. That doesn't mean she doesn't love me. If they ask, tell them that we're just